never slow up, no I don't take shit. I got no love for the fakeness. If you wanna play tough and wanna hate this, I'll always show up and make a statement. I don't ever...
Hey team, hope you're all doing well. Today's topic, I wanted to go over zone 2 running, and does running slow to run faster really work? I certainly believe in that running slow has its place. Obviously, you want to run slow so that you can recover and adapt over a long period of time. But I think when it comes to racing, I can surely tell you that if all of my training was conducted at zone 2 effort, and if all I did was, for the most part, like 90 to 95% of my training was running slow, I would have never run a 2:19 marathon. Okay, there's massive amounts of very aggressive running that's needed to break the 2-hour 20-minute barrier for the marathon, even to break 3 hours for the marathon. You know, running 4:16 kilometer pace or 6:52 mile pace for 26.2 miles. That takes an enormous amount of aerobic as well as anaerobic fitness and a very mentally tough athlete in order to break 3 hours for the marathon. I don't think enough people, I think so many runners get so caught up in focusing on what a so-called hobby jogger or hobby runner is versus an elite runner is. In my opinion, once you're under 3 hours, you're getting closer to the elite level. You're not, you know, if you're running 2:59:55 and you're going up against somebody that can break 2 hours and 5 minutes, obviously there's a drastic night and day difference between the athlete that's at the upper echelon of elite running and the athlete that's down much further down the so-called elite echelon. But I do think running under 3 hours, especially once you're in the twos, you're at an elite level, and it's not something that comes overnight. It will take you several years in most cases. There are some athletes that do have an enormous amount of work output. They have genetic capability as well. I've known runners that can run at very, very fast paces and accumulate very small amounts of lactic acid. You know, they're running at, say, like 5-minute mile pace, and their blood millimole levels are at like 3.0 to 3.2. Versus other athletes, such as myself, that's running at that same intensity, but I'm maybe at like 4 to 4.5 millimoles in terms of blood lactate. So there are some athletes that are able to sustain very fast paces over a long period of time and do it very economically because, again, they're able to clear lactic acid more effectively. And just because that you may not have as much genetic capability as some other athletes out there, but you can make that up with your work ethic, and it may just take you a lot longer versus that very genetically talented athlete. The faster you're trying to run, zone 2 running and running slow to run faster will only take you so far. The world's top middle to long distance runners are running 30 to 40% of their weekly volume at or below their anaerobic threshold. Okay, that's running anywhere from 88 to around 92% of max heart rate. So, you know, a lot of the Norwegians, the Ingebrigtsen brothers, Jakob, Henrik, and Philip, those guys are doing double threshold training. They're doing a higher percentage of their weekly volume, much more aggressive at a much more high intensity. And so naturally, these guys are extremely talented at what they do, but they're talented as well as they work extremely hard, and they've been doing it for several years. In most cases, in a lot of, like Jakob's case, he's been doing it for over a decade, and the same with his brothers. That's just one example. You know, you have to be willing to really put in the work over a long period of time. This is a sport where we can run very fast times, and even up to 40s, 50s, 60s, and even 70s. You know, I'm at the point where I want to compete at a very high level up until for another year from now. Okay, I've been running since I was 15. I'm 40. I just turned 48 a few weeks ago, and so I only want to do this really for another year or so. But again, every athlete's different. Every athlete has their own goals and what they want to do. But I'll tell you, zone 2 running and running slow to run faster, it's important in that if you're running slow enough during your off days, after you do your track sessions, after you do your tempo runs, your AT runs on the roads, if you're running slow enough and you're really focusing on zone 1 to zone 2 running around that type of intensity, you can run faster by running slow, in the sense that you're adapting. You're not running so fast every single day, and you're not getting so caught up in running too anaerobically too often, so that at a point where you're seeing diminished returns, where you're not adapting to the workouts. So I think that zone 2 running and running slow to run faster is if you're focusing on really taking it easy on your recovery days and really paying attention to all the other fundamentals that go into running faster and adapting, i.e. your nutrition, maintaining your ferritin levels, making sure you're not running low on iron, protein, making sure that your muscles are able to recover and heal, ice baths, compression devices, mental rehearsal, mental visualization, all these other fundamentals, the other things that you're doing after you're done with your track workout, after you're done with your road workouts, that is going to make the difference. And zone 2 running, definitely, if you're running slow enough that you're not building up any additional inflammation, you're not running so fast that you're not giving you're giving yourself enough time by running slow at zone 2 and running slow, you're giving your body enough time to recover. That is going to make the difference. And usually for most athletes, running slow for 2 days after a very hard workout is sufficient. Some athletes will need up to 3 days. In my case, some of the harder varied pace long runs I talk about, I need up to about 3 days of recovery, up to 72 hours of recovery after doing those types of intense workouts. Without a doubt, the long run is my least favorite workout. It's also the most important workout you can possibly do if you're a middle distance runner to even a long distance runner. But I just absolutely hate doing the long runs. But again, that's one of the things you have to get outside of your comfort zone. You have to do the things you don't want to do in order to do the things you truly want to do. Okay, if you want to run a marathon under 4 hours, or if you want to break a 50-minute 10K, or you want to break an hour and 10 minutes for the half marathon, you're going to have to do the necessary work over a long enough period of time, and you're going to have to get outside of your comfort zone and do those things you do not want to do in order to achieve those particular goals that you've set for yourself. But I do think that, like I mentioned, zone 2 running slow to run faster, for me personally, they definitely helped me get under an hour and almost break an hour and 7 minutes for the half marathon, break 51 minutes for 10 miles. I ran 2:19 for the marathon, and 1:44:05 for 20 miles. I still think that's probably the most competitive, toughest PR that I have. That's 5:11 mile pace for 20 miles. Those didn't occur by running the majority of my mileage at zone 2. Okay, I was running it. I ran very easy on my recovery days, but I ran around 25 to around 30% over 30% of my mileage at or below my anaerobic threshold. Okay, so it's very important that you don't spend too much of your time running too aerobically, so that you just become a very strong long slow distance runner. You want to make sure that you're training sufficiently well below your goal race pace, so that you get that goal race pace to feel easier for you. So don't get caught up in running too much of your mileage at zone 2, so that again you're just very strong endurance wise, but you're not very strong stamina and strength wise. You want to make sure you have that in place as well. So if you have any other questions regarding zone 2 running, or just running slow to run faster, feel free to leave me a comment below. Let me know also what has worked best for you in terms of your preparation. Has running slow more often helped you become a better runner, or have you implemented some much faster running over a long period of time, and that really, or a mixture of both of these, has that helped you out? I'd love to hear, as well as the community too. Anybody that leaves comments on these videos, other people can read those and then maybe take some suggestions off of what you think works best as well. So Thank you so much for your support. Thank you to all my subscribers. If you want to take your training and racing to the next level, definitely check out the resources below these videos as well as on RunDreamAchieve.com, and I'm certain they'll help you get to the next level in your racing. So thank you so much, and I'll talk to you all in the next video.